Lighting Shabbos candles is a classical case of a mitzvah shazman groma. It's a time-oriented mitzvah, and we know, as the Gemara tells us, the Mishnah tells us, women are putter from time-oriented mitzvahs. So therefore, it's very interesting that the minig is that a woman should be the one lighting Shabbos candles, not the man. And especially according to the Sfardim, according to Ashkenaz, women make brachas on mitzvah saseh shazman grama. But according to the Sfardim, it's even stronger because they usually don't make a bracha on a mitzvah saseh shazman grama. And yet here, the poskim insist that a woman should do it. So how do we explain why is this an exception to the rule? So on that, Achronim explain that we know it says in the Aseres HaDibros, Zachar Shom HaShabbos Ukacho, remember the Shabbos day and sanctify it, and it also says in Va'aschanim V'shamru, you shall keep it. So the Torah describes Shabbos as Zachar and Shamar. And the Gemara in Brachas of Chav HaMabeis makes a famous drasha, and in Shvuas Tav Chav, Kol Sheyeshnu B'Shmira Yeshnu B'Zechiru. Whoever's included in the mitzvah of keeping Shabbos is obligated in the mitzvah of Kiddush, of the positive mitzvahs, like we find by, similarly, women are obligated min HaTorah in the mitzvah of matzah. The erev tochul matzahs. Why should they be obligated? It's a mitzvah saseh shazman grama. So the Chazal tell us the same similar drasha. Kol sheyeshnu b'bal tochel chametz yeshnu b'kumol chametz. The juxtaposition between the psukim between the mitzvah of matzah and the isser of eating chametz. Whoever is prohibited from eating chametz on Pesach is obligated in the mitzvah of matzah. So the Gemara has a special drasha of the woman achayim min HaTorah in Kiddush. And the Ran explains that it's a whole discussion. So what about other mitzvahs besides Kiddush? A woman obligated in Lechem Mishnah, Shawa Shudas, etc. So we assume women are chayiv in Shawa Shudas, but why? It's a machlokes the Ran and Rabbi Tam. Rabbi Tam writes, you know why women are chayiv in Shawa Shudas and perhaps Lechem Mishnah? Because Avhein Hayu Ba'os, they were involved in the miracle. We know the Gemara talks about it in 3 places. Dashim Chayavat, women are obligated because they were involved in the miracle. That is near Chanukah, the mitzvah of lighting candles on Shabbos, Megillah on Purim, and Dalet Kosas on Pesach. So Rabbi Natam's adding, but since the miracle of the man affected men and women, so therefore Afein Hayu Ba'os, they were involved in the miracle, hence they're obligated in these mitzvahs. And the Ran says you don't have to come on to Afein Hayu Ba'os. Kol sheyeshnu b'shmira, yeshnu b'sechira is including all the mitzvahs hayom. So therefore, based on the Ran, so perhaps some suggest the reason why women make a bracha, the reason why they're picked is because, they're usually in control of the home, or because al-pi Kabbalah, because they have extinguished the light, so we bring it back. So therefore, since they're chayiv since they're obligated in the mitzvah of near Shabbos, so once you're obligated, so then the principle, then there's no problem making a bracha. The problem is making a bracha on a mitzvah saseh shazman grama that you're exempt from, because the rule, if it's a mitzvah saseh shazman grama, the women are chayav, so then pashas it shouldn't be a problem. And if even the Sephardi women, all women I know make, or men make brachas, make the bracha l'hal g'nei shel Shabbos. So that's what they point out. That's the minig Yisrael. The woman lights the Shabbos candles. What is the nature of this halacha of lighting Shabbos. And that's what we said. It could be a din in covered Shabbos, a din in oneg Shabbos. And in addition to this, it seems to be a fundamental reason as well of shalom bayis, peace of household. The purpose of lighting candles is to have light in your house. There's nothing worse than walking around in a dark home, stubbing your toe, and then taking it out on everyone else, screaming, people getting screamed at. It's supposed to be a time to chill out, a time to relax, Shabbat Shalom, and therefore we want to have light. Light brings a certain happiness. We know during the winter months it's known as the sad time, seasonal adjustment disorder. That it's just during the winter months when there's much less light, so people are more depressed. There's something about light that brings simcha, and therefore that's what we so really there should be a mitzvah to light candles every night, because the Shalom Bayis isn't limited to Shabbos, but since the assumption is if it's dark, you don't need anyone to tell you put the lights on. But since on Shabbos you can't light, so therefore the mitzvah is to put the light on before Shabbos, so you have lights on Shabbos. So we see it's because of Shalom Bayis. And Shalom Bayis isn't just some homiletical thing, some drasha, but it's a real din. Because the Gemara tells us in Shabbos as well, Chaf Daled, I believe, around there, Chaf Gimel, that let's say a person has to make choices in life. Choosing between good and evil are easy, meaning it's easy, it's clear on what the right thing to do. You still have to work on yourself to do it. But choosing good from good, it's much harder than choosing good from bad. It's much harder. So they point out, let's say a person's afflicted with poverty and they only have enough money to buy for one mitzvah. The Gemara gives you three choices. You need candles for Shabbos, you need candles for Hanukkah, or wine for Kiddush. So the Gemara says each one has something going for it. Shabbos candles has Shalom Bayis going for it. Hanukkah candles have publicizing the miracle going for it. And Kiddush has the principle of Tadir, something which is happening more frequently. So, which one takes place? So the Gemara says Pshita, it's obvious. And anyone who's married out there knows it's obvious. Shalom Bayis is the most important. And then the Gemara says, what about the other two? So the Gemara says Pirsume Nisa, Ner Hanukkah comes in second and Kiddush third. So we see it's a real din that the Ner Shabbos, because of Shalom Bayis, takes precedence over wine for Kiddush. And even though you'll tell me, well, what do you mean? But isn't Kiddush Daraisa? So that gets into a discussion. The Rishon maybe over here, when we're talking about Kiddush, Yayin Kiddush, which you already fulfilled your mitzvah of Kiddush. But and therefore you're dealing with different drabanan. That's a separate discussion I'm not going into now. And where else do we find the halach of Shalom Bayis? By, of all places, by the Mei Sota, by a woman suspected or committing adultery. You had the different process of the kinoi, etc. The husband warned her and she secluded with him. And the only way to so there's a concept of Meisot, you write the Shem Hashem on a scroll and then you put in the water, you erase the Shem Hashem. So we see that normally there's a biblical prohibition to destroy God's name. But here, because of Shalom Bayis, the only way to bring the couple back together, God has to give testimony that she's innocent. So for Shalom Bayis, God is willing to do Mechikas Hashem. Because usually the prohibition is for a destructive matter. Here it's a constructive matter, and therefore it's okay. In fact, that's sort of this famous Ma'aser of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. He was known for his Shalom Bayis. So one time he was walking home from shul with his Talmidim, and before he walked into the house, he fixed his hat and his tie. And the student said, Rebbe, you expecting company in your house? Why are you fixing your jacket, fixing your tie, your hat? He says, yeah, I'm expecting company because Chazal tell us when the husband and the wife lived in peace, so the Shechina is Shora, God lives there. But if the couple is fighting, so God runs out of the house, he doesn't stay in the house where there's no Shalom Bayis. That's Mechikas Hashem, fighting. And therefore that's the Indian of Shalom Bayis. And in fact, in addition, as the Torah tells us, we're going to read in a couple of weeks, it says, "Lo sevaru eish b'chol moshe osechem miyom haShabbos." Don't kindle a fire in your house on Shabbos, and Israel to light fire. But Bali Kabbalah say it's a special level. Sevaru eish, eish hamachlokas. Machlokas is usher and terrible all week long, but especially on Shabbos when it's supposed to be shalom bayis and peace, there's a special prohibition of not to have a machlokas, not to get into any fights on Shabbos. That's the concept of Hadlakas Neiros. We went through the different issues on whether the mitzvah is the actual act of lighting or it's the result. Perhaps it's both, but we paskin that if you have a light going on before Shabbos, you have to blow it out and relight it. We discussed the novel approach that women light the Shabbos candles, even though it's a mitzvah sasesha as mangram, and especially according to Sfardim, they can't make a bracha on his mangrama. Here, since kosher yeshtum b'shmir or yeshtum b'tzchir, the chayev in the mitzvah, so if you're obligated in the mitzvah, it's not an issue. Of course, you can make a bracha. And then we went into the nature of Shabbos candles out shalom bayis. And shalom bayis isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a real halakhic principle that near Shabbos, if you only have enough money, enough funds, you spend it on near Shabbos, over near Chanukah or Kiddush or Yayin. As well, we see by the Meisota that for Shalom Bayis, you're even willing to do Mechikas Hashem. And as the Ramban points out, it's the only, usually a mitzvah and miracle are mutually exclusive because a mitzvah means I'm doing it, a miracle means God's doing it. The only exception to the rule, the Ramban writes, is the mitzvah of Meisota. Why over here is the exception? Because God's willing to do miracles when it comes to Shalom Bayis. And therefore we see the tremendous sort of Shalom Bayis and the mitzvah, even though the mitzvah of Shalom Bayis is all week long, but then you don't need, anyone could turn on the light, but the mitzvah of Shalom Bayis on Shabbos, we have to turn on the light before Shabbos. And as Bali Kabbalah pointed out, in addition to ensure the Shalom Bayis, as well as a prohibition of that one should make sure to avoid any type of machokas, any dispute that would take away from your Shalom Bayis.